the stage is not the pinnacle of ministry. It's not the place where ministry ends. It is your workplace. Your workplace is a mission field. Wherever you are, you can shine a light.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Framework Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Ken Engel, president of Southeastern University. And, of course, joining us is our co-host, Michael Steiner, SCU Senior Vice President of Advancement and Innovation. And we are excited today to introduce our guest, Pastor Robert Rocha from Voz Church in Ontario, California. Man, privileged to have you today.
It's such an honor, Dr. Engel, to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a privilege. Under Robert's leadership, Voz Church has become this amazing, multicultural, multi-generational church that is a powerful community in the LA area, and we're so excited to have you with us. Before we talk about anything else, tell us, you're a pastor, you pastor a community that recently obviously faced a massive challenge not far from you in the LA fires. Tell us a little bit about that and how it impacted your church. Would love to hear some.
Yeah, thank you. Well, like some of the things you've seen on TV and the news, and it was devastating. A lot of families affected. Personally, within our church, we had about 4 families that were affected by it. 3 had to evacuate, and then 1 lost everything. And so, when it hits close to home, it's a different type of hurt. It's a different type of care that you want to. So we surrounded them, and we did what we could to help them get back on their feet. And even the ones that didn't lose their house, going back, it wasn't normal. It was, some ways around, some challenges, going back to school. Although their homes didn't get burned, the schools got burned, and the grocery markets got burned.
Right.
And, it still smelled like smoke, and there was ashes everywhere. It's literally like a movie scene, when you would walk around there. But I was mentioning to some of your leaders earlier that I saw the church rally around them. I saw the church come around them and say, hey, man, everything's going to be all right. And so we had a wonderful opportunity to be able to rally around some other organizations that were really impacting. So it was wonderful to see that opportunity.
What do you think the rebuilding process is going to look like for especially these families that lost everything?
Well, one, it's not going to be overnight.
Sure.
And so that's the first thing I see. The second thing is I do see this spirit of resilience, of not giving up within the community, especially like the Altadena, Pasadena area. That's kind of where we are a little bit closer to. And even the Pacific Palisades, you could feel the opportunity. We're going to rebuild.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that spirit is felt, and so we're hoping and praying and believing that some of the funding comes in and they're able to rebuild. So that's kind of what we see. We see a spirit of resilience to rebuild.
Yeah. Well, you made a comment before we started the show. You really see, you feel like the country is seeing the response of the church to these crises. And, we had the fire, we had the hurricanes, and really, while so many agencies were tripping over their own feet, the church was there and getting into mid of it. What, in your opinion, how does that speak to the importance of churches in community, in these communities in there?
Well, I've always believed that the church does more with less.
Yes.
We are that community that does more with less. And I believe the nation is seeing a part of that now. They're getting they're seeing it from a different lens. The opportunity that the church has had to be the hands and feet of Jesus, literally be the church. This was no longer a worship service with songs, but it was worship unto Him by giving, serving, and helping others. And the nation saw that, and it can't be ignored. It was the church that stepped in. It was the church that began to feed. It was the church that began to clothe. It was the church that began to house. And in the wider perspective of things, I think the church was what ran in while others were thinking about whether or not this is a good time or a bad time? Or
Right.
is it the church says, we don't really care about any
Yeah.
political views.
Yeah.
We know that there's people that need our help. And so the nation saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Voz does, and I love your leadership at Voz and everything that you are doing. I want to talk a little bit about the beginning of your church and how the journey. Church planting is never easy, but you made a bold decision, step out and plant a church, and it was a historic theater instead of kind of that traditional space. So tell us a little bit about the journey.
It was a wild journey. First of all, I'm four generations pastor kid, so it was, it's the typical story. I'm 4 generations pastor because the last thing I want to do is pastor a church. That's like the last thing I want to do. Anything other than that, I'll be a businessman. I'll even serve at a high capacity, second or third in command, but or in leadership, but never like a lead planter or anything like that. However, God has a way of just kind of ruining your 5-year plans and stripping you from that. So very early on, when my wife and I got married, we had agreed we're not pastoring. And so then God began to pull us into that after just being mentored and kind of learning what this church planting looks like. We launched our church in Ontario, California, in the old historic building, 100 years old. Mm-hmm. And when we walked into it, we said, man, I'd like to have a conference here one day. It's so massive. Like who starts a church plant in something like this? Yeah. And little did we know that 2 weeks later we would be signing the contract for a church planting there, which was supernatural because there was other organizations that wanted it. However, the person that was in charge of it said, you're the one for this. Mm-hmm. And so we had no bank account. We had not been released from our church yet to church plant. We were just preparing, what we were going to do. Finally came back, talked to my pastor, said, we got a building. That's incredible. But this was October. You don't launch till February. I said, I know they're willing to wait for us. So they waited for us. We launched the church. And this was in 2018. So this coming Sunday, we're celebrating 7 years.
Wow.
And the inauguration of our new building. So we planted originally in Spanish.
Okay.
And then about a year later, we opened up our English ministry. And then a few months later, we shut down because of COVID.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So then that was fun.
Yeah.
And California was pretty strict.
It was for a long time.
It was incredibly crazy. We would have people coming into the building, taking pictures, seeing what we were doing, how many people were there. It was wild. Yeah. But it allowed us to kind of reset our launch, and it gave us a different perspective of discipleship. Yeah. And I think that's where when the pandemic hit, it really resonated in my heart, and my spirit, as I spent time with the Holy Spirit. It was like, you need to raise a church of disciples. Yeah. And so it gave us that opportunity. And so here we are 7 years later. 4 months ago, we purchased a building, another historic building, 4 blocks away from the other historic building. And this Sunday will be our 7-year anniversary and our official inauguration. So this is special.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Special for us.
And I love that journey that you talked about. I mean, COVID, taking back these opportunities, but also kind of discovering this identity that you have that's greater than just one language or one group. Talk about some of the, challenges, but also some of the opportunities that's come from merging all of that, from being that kind of community that both can be present.
Yeah. So when COVID hit, it really shifted the way we did church, I think, globally. Mm-hmm. And specifically for our assignment, the Lord spoke to me and said, I want you to raise a church that's built for persecution. That was kind of what it was. It went real deep, real fast.
Real deep,
It went deep, real fast. But I think what the Lord was preparing us for was how to be aware of how quickly church got shut down, how quickly the buildings got empty, how quickly the waves of communication were taken over. A lot of fear, and so the Holy Spirit started kind of dealing with me like, its persecution will not look like it used to. It's going to look different. And in order for the church to survive this, there has to be discipleship.
Wow.
Can you raise a church that's built for this? And so I went on a quest and a journey and saying, Lord, help me, to do this. And that's when the reset happened. And that was the opportunity for us to start really discipling people. And it really started at my home with my kids.
Wow.
Like it went back to the nucleus, right? The home, the family. And so began to kind of explore what discipleship would look like. When we reopened with a new model of leadership, which is we're all going through discipleship, which is called Lifestyle of Freedom. And so we developed two levels, level 1, level 2. And long and behold, we didn't know that this was going to be the leadership development now that was going to set the new pace for the church.
Yep.
And my goodness, has it created this new culture of just like going after God's presence, and it just really shifted a lot. And then it resonated a lot with my Hispanic community, because in the Hispanic community, we're pretty strong with discipleship. And so that was something that really helped reshape how we did church.
Oh.
That's good. As you look at, a lot of the different challenges, you're going to be celebrating 7 years now. How has it truly changed you and your leadership style and how you lead your teams, and as you move forward now, and kind of another era after you celebrate and you're inaugurating a new building, all of that?
Yeah, I think I go back to what God wanted from us from the beginning. I don't think he changes, nor the assignment has changed. It's just wrapped a little different.
Sure.
And so for us, it's a foundation of understanding God's grace. Grace has covered this the entire time, but also knowing that our purpose was never to grow a church. Our purpose was to grow people.
I love that.
Yep.
And so if we can just focus on growing people and directing them to what God has designed for them to do,
right,
I think that's going to be an element that is really going to help our leadership. And so this is why I love SEU, because SEU, when I started hearing about what the culture looks like and what the leadership framework looks like here, I said, my goodness, they're literally pointing people to the God assignment over their life when it's not directly on a stage, perhaps.
Right.
It could be in an office.
Right.
Yeah.
It can be in a hospital room. It can be engineering.
Yes.
It can be, whatever that looks like. And so when we heard, this is also what was so exciting about SEU, when we heard about that, I said, man, that lines up so much with what we want. We want to grow people in their purpose. Yep. And if we can just help direct them there, I think that they're going to be very, very successful, but more than that, fulfilled. They're going to feel fulfilled because they are lined up to their assignment. So how has it changed, or how's it developed? We're just interested in growing people now and directing them to their purpose, God-given purpose and assignment for their life, wherever that is. Yes. And so I think that's such an advantage. And I love also what SEU is doing here to direct that and help.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, there's so many things we're going, and we really appreciate your wisdom as you're thinking about it. We have so many students that are in here that are thinking about walking into ministry. They're thinking about what does that look like, and you guys are on the forefront of that. What is some advice you would give to this next generation of pastors and ministry leaders that you've been getting to hang out with at conference? What's one thing you'd like them to know?
I think one of the things that I could personally say for me is whatever you honor, you have access to. Whatever you honor, you have access to. Whatever you dishonor, the doors will close.
Yeah.
And if you honor God, you're going to have access to all the victories he has for you. If you honor leadership, if you honor your call, if you honor what God has placed over your life, I think that we will. Obedience is a direct response to honor. And when we live from that place and you honor the call that God has given over your life, I think that God will, Ephesians 3:20 will, to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask, think, or even imagine. Even for me in my life, I'm a kid that grew up in Compton. Like, I'm from Compton, California, and the doors that God has opened now has nothing to do with, my accolades or anything like that. It has everything to do with I was taught to honor. And when I honored, God opened the doors, and God, put the right people around me that would take me to the next level or to the places that I am at. And so I would say that to the leaders. Number one, honor. Honor God, honor your call, wherever that is. The stage is not the pinnacle of ministry. It's not the place where ministry ends. It is your workplace. Your workplace is a mission field. Wherever you are, you can shine a light. And I think that if you do that and you focus on that, and then also just help other people grow, generosity and what you do for others, God's gonna take care of you. And so that's kind of what I would say. Honor God, honor your call. Make sure that you're honoring what God has put in your heart, and He's going to take care of the rest. Yeah. So, I'm super, super excited about what God is doing in the next generation of leaders.
Well, man, we're excited to be able to serve you. As you know, our heart is, this university's heart and passion is to serve the church.
Yeah.
And man, we want to do that with you and support you and encourage you and provide every type of resource as you raise up these incredible people that God puts in your care, helping them discover their design so they can serve Jesus and the church and all that He has for them in life's calling. So yeah, it's a great joy to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's great, and really, like I mentioned earlier, SEU really is the deeper I get into leadership, and the more people I meet, and everyone's talking the same assignment. We want to help people get directed to their God-given talent. I said, yes, that's exactly what we want to do as well. So grow people, and I think if you grow people, the automatic outcome of that is your organization will grow, your ministry will grow. Yeah. But really, there's nothing more fulfilling than growing people.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if you're listening, you want to stay up to date with Pastor Robert and everything going on at Voz Church, you can follow him on Instagram and Facebook at Pastor Robert Rocha Jr. You can also check out Voz Church on Instagram and YouTube. They've got all your sermons, all your content, lots of incredible things the ministry is doing. So stay up to date with everything happening there. And thank you so much for listening to Framework Leadership. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Framework Leadership. If you're watching on YouTube, now would be a great time to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can get incredible leadership content right to your YouTube feed. You can also check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts every single week, Framework Leadership. And if you love great email newsletters, and I know I do, make sure you check out keningle.com and subscribe to the Framework Leadership newsletter. It's an incredible piece of content we put out every single week of amazing leadership resources right to your inbox. Make sure you check it out. You can also follow us on Instagram at Kent_Ingle, at Dr. Michael Steiner, on X at Kent Ingle, and on Facebook at Kent.Ingle. Stay up to date on all the incredible things happening on the podcast and at Southeastern University. We love you guys, and we love our followers and our subscribers. Thank you so much for listening to the Framework Leadership Podcast.